Hello, everybody. It's CapCorgi here. I wanted to, talk about the very, very serious, crazy level of layoffs that happened today at Xbox. We all knew this was happening. I think you've probably seen some bones about it over the past few days. This has been rumored to be in the works for actually a few weeks now, but it officially happened. As per Jeff Keighley, Microsoft is cutting approximately 9,000 jobs today across the entire company, including some in the Xbox gaming division. There's plenty more detail, so we're going to dive into it now. So we start off with this. This was the information from a couple of days ago. So it's actually not the entire thing. Microsoft's entire workforce is 228,000, and the number of staff was 4,000. Now we'll talk about the whys, the wherefores, why this is happening, how this affects, Xbox, how this affects gaming, and kind of my thoughts on the entire situation. Spoiler alert, my thoughts are very loud and very annoyed at the situation, but I think it's going to give you probably a bit more understanding than most creators right now. Most people right now are just in the, as Ackman is saying, and I get this, I understand this feeling. Translation, fuck you, we need more money. While I understand the feeling, and while I agree, this is also a little bit more complicated, a little bit more nuanced than that. And so we'll talk about that. So let's first go over the brass tacks, exactly who is affected, exactly what games are affected, because it is a lot of games, a lot of cancellations. So it's not going to be good news. This video is not a good news video. We had the good news video with the StopKillingGames.com entire prospect succeeding, which is really, really great. That happened a few hours ago. And of course, we have to balance it out with some less great news. First of all, very clearly, Xbox is not the brunt of the layoffs. The impact for the layoffs is hitting everything department, skill level, tenure-wise. No one is safe, pretty much. But the Xbox division is hit pretty darn hard. So the total layoffs for 2025 is now at 15,300 people. Now, this is very, very annoying because one reason that they're doing this, we'll just start into the reason right now because it kind of goes in with Windows Central little message here. Anytime a company hits their fiscal year end, and they're a very large publicly traded company, they start to do a pattern of behavior. Now, a lot of companies, like Capcom, they'll rush out products before the fiscal year end to make sure they hit financial milestones and benchmarks so they can tell their shareholders, hey, we sold blah, 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 blah units, and, even if the quality of the game is not good, we at least moved the products. So, ergo, you shareholders should be happy. Line went up. For anything that is a publicly traded company, the line must always go up. It really sucks, but this is the reality of the situation with publicly traded companies, especially in the gaming world, but in all genres of work. And by the way, for anyone wondering, I work in business. This is my day job, so I know a lot about this type of situation. And I try to apply my knowledge because I don't work in gaming. That's not my day job, but I can at least apply the knowledge that I have working in businesses and doing financials and so on and so forth. I can apply that knowledge to gaming and at least give you this in terms of gaming news. But yeah, so Microsoft's fiscal year end actually just ended 2 days ago, so very end of June and into the beginning of July now. So that is one reason this is happening. So some companies, they rush out products. Other companies, and most companies, when they hit financial year end and they need to hit some certain financial milestones and make their line go up in a certain degree that they really, really want and like, they fire people. Because firing people, when you do that, you are basically getting rid of all the overhead for the next few years as well. And you can put that down in your books as mitigated losses. It's basically like a screwy way to kind of like pad your books, in for lack of a better term. It's not exactly that. It's very legal and everything like that. It's just really shitty. And this is what Microsoft is doing. This is something that happens all the time. Mass layoffs, as Windows Central is correctly saying, is a common fixture of the tech firm's summer in recent years as it struggles to find its footing in a post-COVID, AI-laden universe. And actually, they're using this to their advantage, Microsoft, because what they're going to be writing down is this is going to be loss mitigated by, such and such number of workers will definitely be replaced by AI, or at least that's what they're going to say, because that'll give value to all the money that they've poured into AI, and Microsoft has poured a bunch. CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, is a giant fan of AI, and I have covered that actually as well in one of my previous videos, where he was talking about adding AI to every freaking Windows computer right here. CEO wants to put AI on your computer. That was about 1 year ago. And that situation has not changed. It's only gone further. So yeah, that's definitely part of it. And the other thing is that mass layoffs are just like, a very, very normal way for these companies to deal with loss mitigation. And they're working AI as well. So they're trying to replace it with AI. But even if they don't, they're at least trying to make it look like they will, because that makes the line go up even further. It's all about perception for shareholders. It's all about, these types of things. And by the way, it really does suck, but let's just show you. Let's just do Xbox stock price so you guys can see. This is not like an abnormal thing for them. They do this often. They do this on the regular, and it works. This is why Microsoft's financials go up. This is why. So let's just say 10 years. A steady line going up. This is exactly what they're looking for. Obviously, downturn for certain years and so on and so forth. This was right when, COVID went away and everything like that. And so, they took a dip for that reason. Less people buying computers, less people staying in, and so on and so forth. But basically, every single year when it gets to, June and July, they do a big round of layoffs. This has been a thing, and then their stock price jumps. And sure enough, the exact same thing here. Stock price is going up, and that is the reason why. These companies are not your friend. These companies are sharks. Microsoft is a shark. Xbox is a shark. And you got to know this. You have to know this just to get the full context. I'm not excusing it, by the way. I hate this. Because, firing these people, laying them off, you're interrupting all kinds of games, and we'll go into the list of them. You're getting rid of amazing talent. You are absolutely shredding teams. And if you learned anything from companies like Larian Studios and even Nintendo, Nintendo usually tries to keep their workforce intact, and From Software, those companies, amongst many others, but those companies especially, have been very, very public about the fact that if you say have a 5-person team that work really well together, just using a round number, and you have to do a layoff, so you lay off one of them, you've now change the efficiency of that team from a 5-person team, even if you replace the 5th person with a brand new person for a cheaper price, which is exactly what these companies do. They do that with, either hiring a, later on months down the road, a less, less salaried worker, a less highly salaried worker, or they do like contract work and stuff. And either way, it's not going to show as recurring loss in their books. Beyond that, if you take a 5-person team, you lay one off, even if you replace that person, that same team is less efficient now, because that 5th person, chances are, is not going to work nearly as well as the experienced person that was fired, or mesh as well with the team. A team is good because it's always greater than the sum of their parts. It's not just 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 equals 5. It's 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 equals 5.6 or 5.8, because working as a team, knowing each other, skill sets matching pretty well with the other members of the team, and so on and so forth, that raises efficiency. And that is one reason we're seeing in the major AAA companies a lot of the major delays and teams not working well together, the issues of the Ship of Theseus problem in terms of Obsidian not being the same team now that it used to be way back in the Knights of the Old Republic days, and now we get games like Avowed. The reason is it's not the same company anymore. Major members of the teams are long gone. They started their own companies, they left, they weren't happy, they got laid off, whatever. All these things happen over the years, and the Obsidian of yesteryear is not Obsidian of today. Ubisoft of yesteryear is not the Ubisoft of today. And that's why a lot of the AAA games are now a step backwards than they were over the past, few years. So this is a major problem, and it is a very, very sad one to see. Now we're going to move on to Phil Spencer's actual letter. So of course he's giving platitudes, but we'll read out the entire thing here. Here it is. It was leaked about a day ago on Reddit. Also shared on Windows Central, but I wanted to read the entire thing. Today we are sharing decisions that will impact colleagues across our organization, to position gaming for enduring success and to allow us to focus on strategic growth areas. We will end or decrease work in certain areas of business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness. Out of respect for those impacted today, specifics of today's notifications and any organizational shifts will be shared by your team leaders in the coming days. Now, a couple of things that you need to know. We'll go through, various parts of this letter and talk about at least my thoughts on what they mean and kind of reading between the lines. That's something I pride myself on, being able to translate the dog shit corpo speak into layman's terms so you guys can understand it. So, first of all, to position gaming for enduring success, that is flowery language for our costs are too high right now, and we have been told from on up high, follow Microsoft's lead. We have been told by Microsoft to cut blank amount of the workforce, whether it's 4% or whatever the amount is for, the Xbox division. Microsoft is doing these cuts all over the place, and the way it works in large companies, I've worked in large companies. I've done, financials and consulting for these large companies as well to, try to mitigate issues like these. Basically, if you have the CEO or the leadership team, the C-suite, essentially say, hey, in order to make line go up, we need to, decrease our overhead and lay 10% of the workforce off. They're not the ones who choose exactly who gets laid off. They call down to their division directors and, the heads of various offices and so on and so forth and say, hey, we need 5 people fired. We need 2% of your team fired. We need 4% of that team fired. That's what they say. Now, those division directors, or in this case, I guess it would be not Satya Nadella. Satya Nadella is the Microsoft CEO. It would be the Phil Spencer, basically trying to choose which teams, are cut and which ones are not. And it's not like Phil Spencer could stand his ground and say, no, I refuse to fire these people. He would lose his job as well. This is the job of a division director. This is exactly what they're paid to do. It sucks. I don't like it. I could never stomach that job. But this is what these people are paid to do. Every person in that type of leadership position is generally a fucking shark. And it is important to know that. Regardless, it's very telling that they're trying to basically siphon out all of these, bad news and cancellations and so on over the span of days. It's not all going at once. It is the span of days. And it's all very hush-hush. People are not realizing that they're getting fired. They don't even know for a couple of days. It's a rough time, and we'll go into some of that as well. We've gotten already a bunch of feedback, a lot of tabs open, a bunch of feedback from people getting laid off, people not sure if they're getting laid off, people learning that their game was canceled, and they don't even know if they have a job tomorrow or not. It's a very shitty way to lay off people, but Microsoft does that very, very often. Okay, so anyways, going back to the letter, I recognize that these changes come at a time where we have more players, games, and gaming hours than ever before. Basically, Xbox is saying, we're succeeding, but we're also firing you. It's a really shitty way to do it, but yeah, I mean, it's... Oh, God, it's so fucking filthy, man. It's so fucking tone deaf. Sorry. Man, like, it's just so fucking grody, dude. It's just so fucking grody. Anyways. Okay, I recognize these changes. Yeah, but our platform, hardware, and game roadmap have never looked stronger. What this would be, you know, paired with pretty well is that, and as a result of our success, you know, congratulations, we're moving forward. But here it ends up being, we're really successful at the moment, but you're fired. And it's just so grody, dude. But basically what he's trying to say here, the corpo speak, which doesn't come off very well, and I hate corpo speak like this, is that he's trying to tell investors, he's trying to tell shareholders and so on, that Xbox as a company is doing great. And so don't worry, you know, the line will go up further. That's essentially what he's saying here. And for anyone like who's, you know, trying to buy Xboxes and stuff, he's trying to say like, hey, don't worry, the brand is strong, even if we have to, you know, fire some people. And by some, I mean a lot. The success we're seeing currently is based on tough decisions we made previously. So this is a very interesting point and one worth commenting on. These moves have been in the works for months, which means that if you didn't see a certain game that you expected to see a lot more of at Summer Games Fest, at the Xbox Showcase, for example, the reason is that they were planning to cancel these games and cancel certain ones of these way back. Some of them, you know, maybe even into last year. So that's something to keep in mind. They've been planning this. We must make choices now for the continued success in future years, and a key part of that strategy is discipline to prioritize the strongest opportunities. This is very interesting because of the games that we're going to talk about that were canceled. Some of them seemed like very strong opportunities, and with the ones that were canceled, it kind of shows the cracks in some of those games that we thought, you and I, you know, people that are fans of games and fans of maybe even Xbox games, but I don't really call myself an Xbox fan. I just call myself a fan of games. I don't care if it's from Nintendo or Sony or Xbox or whatever. I just want good games. But yeah, regardless, there's been a lot of those games that we thought were like, damn, this is gonna be a banger, and then it ends up you know, not working out. And I'll cover some of the reasons why, because a lot of it has to do with cost, a lot of it has to do with opportunity cost in terms of they've already poured in millions and millions of dollars into such and such project, and it's just not really coming together as fast as they want. Even if it is coming together, it's just not fast enough, or the profit thought process behind it, how much money they think they're going to make from the game, is just not high enough. It's not monetizable enough. So as you'll be able to see, a lot of the games being canceled are single player games. A lot of the games not being canceled are the multiplayer dog shit. So there's a reason for that. We will protect what is thriving and concentrate effort on areas with the greatest potential while delivering on expectations the company has for our business. We want to make money, 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 money. And while that is fine, they are already making money, 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 money. Like, let me just show it. Let's just see. Let me pull it over here so you can at least see the letter in the background. So Xbox Game Pass revenue, or actually profit, every month. I just want to pull this up and show it to you guys. They've made $230 million in revenue every single month. This is money hand over fist. And we don't know the exact profit margins, but, you know, at least we have the revenue numbers. And this estimate suggests $2 billion. $2 billion globally. So they are making a lot of money. Xbox is making boku money. They're not making anything on hardware, but they're making a bunch of money on the software side. And it's very, very telling that, yeah, it's still not enough. The line must go up even further. Focused approach means we can deliver exceptional games and experiences for players for generations to come. That's what we hope, but as you can see from the canceled games, it's a little rough. Prioritizing our opportunities is essential. It does not lessen the significance of the moment. Simply put, we would not be where we are today without the time, energy, and creativity for those whose roles are impacted. The corpo speak is we're saying that because we want it to sound nice. However, they are still the same company that is, not really sharing people that they're getting fired until the day of, and sometimes not even that. They find out that their game is canceled and they're, have a high chance of losing their job. It's a really shitty way to do it. So really, this is just corpo speak for don't hate us, even though they deserve it. These decisions are not a reflection of the talent, creativity, and dedication of the people involved. Our momentum is not accidental. It's the result of years of dedicated effort from our teams, which is why they're shredding their teams. So fucking stupid. HR is working directly with the impacted employees to provide severance plan benefits aligned with local laws, including pay, healthcare coverage, and job placement resources to support the transition. It's also very telling that when a company like Riot Games, of their many faults, when they do layoffs, their severance package doesn't comply with local laws. It is well above local laws and, industry standard. So the fact that Microsoft is saying that they're aligned with local laws, corpo speak is just generally, they're doing the bare minimum. Like, I just want you to know that. They're still doing something. They're doing what they're legally required to do, but it's not like in a special amount. And yeah, employees whose roles were eliminated are encouraged to explore open positions across Microsoft Gaming, where applications will be given priority review. Basically, they're saying we'll try to rehire you onto other teams, and so on and so forth. Even though, frankly, that's not likely. But sometimes it does happen. You will lose your job sometimes for, say, $100,000 as a programmer, and then the next team, a lateral movement, will hire you for $90,000. So you're still taking a pay cut, but you get your job kind of back in some ways. But this is something that Microsoft does often, because that way they have to pay less benefits, especially if they're hiring you as a contractor instead of salaried employee. A lot of times the overhead is just less. And this shows as a loss mitigated in their financial books, which makes their line go up. Very, very grody shit. Thank you for everyone who helped shape our culture, products, and community. We'll move forward with deep appreciation, blah, blah, Phil. So, yeah, yeah, exactly. What this comment is saying is exactly nailing it. It is absolutely redonkulous. All right, moving on. So this is, corroborated by Dustin Lagare, one of the good, journalists left in gaming. There's not that many, but there are a few. But here is a note by Matt Booty, giving some more information. So following Phil's note, I want to share more about the changes to the studio's business units. So this is diving into some of the games that are being canceled. First of all, Perfect Dark is being canceled. Let's just start with that. It's in this letter. And Everwild by Rare is also being canceled. So those two are being canceled. We'll dive more into this. But these were some of the major ones I wanted to talk about, because Xbox has like 40 projects in active development. And I've covered many of them, especially during Xbox showcases and so on and so forth. But a lot of them have been hit. 40 right there. There we go. I was right, 40. But yeah, as part of this, we are closing one of our studios, The Initiative. So The Initiative is interesting because The Initiative, very, very interestingly named, was basically what amounts to what they were calling a quadruple A studio. Basically going to be involved in creating the ultra modern, really polished games. And Perfect Dark was their game. But and Perfect Dark we saw last year. Just to remind you guys, this is Perfect Dark. This is Joanna Dark, and we saw it last year at the Xbox showcase, and it looked interesting. In some ways it looked good, but in some ways it looked almost like a fake game. Because of how weirdly paced the game was, and at least like, you know, the trailer was, and they said it was gameplay, but you know, it was very, very rough. So let me see if I can find Perfect Dark so I can play in the background. Perfect Dark. What is it called? Gameplay. There it is. Here it is. Yeah, this was the Xbox Showcase last year. So I'll just let it play in the background, and you know, at least like, you know, here, let's pull it out in its own separate window, and I can pull this away, so I can at least talk to you guys about what's going on as Perfect Dark plays in the background, because this is one of the major ones that everyone was looking forward to. You know, almost 1 million views on the separate video, and it was like, you know, Perfect Dark is a pretty big game series. Like, people have, you know, loved the N64 game. I grew up on it, and you know, the gameplay looks interesting, so we'll let it play in the background. But yeah, so this is initiative. These decisions, along with other changes, I pulled the letter across so I could show you it. Across our teams reflect a broader effort to adjust priorities and focus resources, set up our teams for greater success within a changing industry landscape. So obviously this is vertical slice stuff. A lot of people were not happy, by the way, with how Joanna Dark looked. That, you know, this game faced a lot of backlash with the gameplay and the look of the game. Perhaps this is a reason why they lost confidence in the game. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll continue it as it goes on. We did not make these choices lightly. Each project and team represent years of effort, imagination, and commitment. Now, this one is very telling, because Perfect Dark has been in development. Let's just see. How long has the initiative been active at Xbox? So, the initiative as a company at Xbox started in June 2018. That was when it was founded. That means they've been ostensibly working on this game for 6 fucking years. And this is probably why. Like, you know, the gameplay here is interesting looking, right? But it kind of feels a little sterile. It kind of feels a little bit like, is this game real, or is it just a vertical slice? These questions were going around pretty commonly in all of the gaming circles, looking at this trailer. And it looks good, like the graphics look good and everything, but like the way the camera moves and everything like that, is it real or not, was a big question. But the problem is, this is what they came up with as a result of 6 years of effort. That's a very, very long time. And that shows that the game is not nearly, probably, as far ahead as they wanted it to be in, 2024 at the point of this this trailer. And the initiative was a team of like hundreds of people. So this was a pretty major team. It wasn't like a small, like, 20-person team, 40-person team or something. No, this was a quadruple A level team according to them. So that's a pretty major amount. And if they couldn't get this game, you know, really in a good state a year after this, I can see why this is one. See, like, that body falling backwards and stuff, it was just very plastic, very weird. So this is why there was like a lot of questions of, is this game even real or not? Like, because it just doesn't really feel it. Anyways, going back to the letter by Matt Booty, overall portfolio strategy is unchanged. Build games that excite our players, continue to grow our biggest franchises, and create new stories, worlds, and characters. Now, there's a reason he said grow our biggest franchises first. The save-for-profit numbers are always in established franchises. Making new IPs and, you know, revisiting IPs after, like, decades and decades, it's a risk. It's a bigger risk than, you know, making Diablo 4 after Diablo 3, or, you know, making a next Halo game, or whatever. So that's one reason that they're saying that. We have more than 40 projects in active development. This is according to Matt Booty again. Continued momentum on titles shipping this fall, and a strong slate headed into 2026. And if you watch the Xbox Game Showcase, it was a pretty good amount. That's me saying that. So that sentence is actually true. And then he says, you know, we're working with HR to provide support, blah, 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 blah. So that's pretty much it for that. But yeah, it's very, very rough. And yeah, they don't really care about gameplay trailers. These gameplay trailers oftentimes is a major, like, you know, red flag sometimes. You can see with a lot of the game failures of the past couple of years, even this year, with Mind's Eye, that it doesn't really matter sometimes what these game trailers show. A lot of times it's like, you know, sometimes a bit of smoke and mirrors. Sometimes a bit of smoke and mirrors. So going back to the next section, Windows 11 sucks. But yeah, another company that was involved heavily in the layoffs was 200 jobs at Candy Crush Maker King. And this one is a little interesting because this was the mobile unit. So when they bought Activision Blizzard, a lot of people forgot it wasn't Activision Blizzard. It was Activision Blizzard King, the big merger, which costed, I think, what was it, $63 billion? Not billion, sorry. Was it 63 million? How much? How much was Activision about for? I was right, actually. Man, I should have just followed my my thought process. Sorry, $68 billion. Not 63, $68 billion. A big part of that purchase was King, because they make mobile games, and mobile games make beaucoup money, and also mobile games are like the biggest market increase for all of gaming year over year. It's like not even close. Way higher than PC, way higher than consoles. And but the problem is that Candy Crush and the makers of Candy Crush at King, they don't need that many people to make a dog shit mobile game. And you know, pretty much all of these mobile games that Candy Crush Maker King makes are kind of dog shit. So it doesn't take really that much effort to keep developing and keep making, you know, monetization for it and so on and so forth. Which is, I think, why the 200 jobs from King, it actually makes a bit of sense. This one makes a bit more sense. And it does suck because, you know, it is a large gaming market and, you know, I don't like to see anyone fired. But this one makes a bit more sense. Now, the next one. Bethesda hasn't released which, you know, exact numbers that they've had to lay off yet. But they have cut several different unannounced projects at multiple studios. Now, which ones exactly we'll go into. Romero Games, which was a small studio funded in 2015, this one really, really hurt. They were working on a brand new survival-style game. And John Romero, you know, father of horror, father of zombie horror particularly, it was a very, very sad one, man. It was a very, very sad one. Projects lost. Okay. So this was actually a game company founded by John Romero as well. So it was an unannounced FPS. It was going to be like a survival horror FPS. Sounded dope, but yeah, it didn't work out. I'll link some of these links in the description below so you can read these letters, since I read the important ones, but I just want to let you guys know. And but yeah, so that's it for Bethesda. They don't really give too many details yet. But one that was Raven Software and Sledgehammer. Now, this is a big one because I'm not really sure about Sledgehammer Studios in particular, but Raven Software was directly creating, and they did a damn good job on the campaigns for the last few Call of Duty games. That really sucks because, you know, Call of Duty can have many, many issues, but the campaigns have usually been pretty darn good. Not all the time, but generally, as a general thing, Raven Software has done a pretty darn decent job with the campaigns for Call of Duty games. And that is a big hit, man. That is a big fucking hit. Because, you know, that probably signals that they're going to work a lot more on, like, the multiplayer aspect of Call of Duty, and much less, probably, effort on the next few single-player aspects of Call of Duty, as in the campaigns and stuff, which is why I play Call of Duty. I don't play it for the multiplayer, I play it for the single-player. And I don't really agree with this, but this is an example of some of the backlash that people were saying about Joanna Dark. And I do say that she does look a little weird, especially considering OG Joanna Dark from, N64 and GameCube days looked quite a bit different. So this did have a lot of backlash. Now, moving on from the initiative to Rare, they were working on a brand new game called Everwild. And Everwild has been in development for a pretty long time as well. A running theme with a lot of the games that have been canceled. Games that have been worked on for quite a bit of time. And it feels like maybe the teams just didn't really come together to really knock it out of the park in the past couple of years. So this also shows a bit of a lack of foresight from the teams at Microsoft. Because if so many of the teams at Microsoft are starting development and projects, tens of millions of dollars going into each separate one, and they're canceled halfway through. What happened? Why are so many games being allowed to fail? Why are so many teams being allowed to flounder for so long? For year over year, months over months over months, tens of millions of dollars being eroded into each one of these companies. Maybe Xbox shouldn't have bought so many of these fucking companies. That's my thought, but that's just a wild thought. It's not like we've seen this entire situation collapse in on itself like a fucking black hole with so many other companies. Riot Games, they had to do a bunch of layoffs and they had to close Riot Forge, which is where they made a lot of the secondary smaller games related to League of Legends, Universe, and so on and so forth. We just saw the closing down of Hypixel Studios with the game Hytale. That was literally a video I put up. When was that? Let me see. Yeah, Hytale 6 days ago. So Hytale was closed down 6 days ago. So yeah, they faced that situation. Embracer Group is probably one of the most famous ones. Ubisoft as well. Ubisoft has had many different divisions all around in their company, and they've had to lay off people, team after team after team. But that's usually because of loss after loss after loss. But yeah. It's crazy to read this today. Gene Park says he's a pretty good reporter as well. I was recently out at Rare. It's nice to see the team with Everwild and the progress that they're making. So these are very positive words by Phil Spencer. And that was all the way back in the wee mornings of February 16th. It wasn't that long ago. And so if he's speaking all positively here, it's been a while. We've been able to give those teams time and what they're doing, which is good, and still have a portfolio like we have. And it's a dream that Matt Booty and I have had of a long time, so it's good to finally be there. We can give these companies time, but not that much time. So I don't know if something broke at Rare over the past few months, which is possible, but I would say a rare situation. But I think that they were basically, giving Everwild its last chance. Right here where it says, it's been a while. He's acknowledging that Rare has been, developing Everwild for, what is it, I think 6-7 years. And still, it was in pretty early stages. So, it's just not enough, not fast enough. That's the thing. And, yeah, really shitty to see. Now, the next one was Halo Studios. Halo Studios is also being affected by the Microsoft layoffs. And as you can see, Forza is another one. We'll talk about that as well. This guy was let go from Halo Studios. This person was let go at Halo Studios. Yeah. It's just not really a good situation for them, especially since there's a lot of questions of what the exact next Halo project will be. We've seen Halo and Unreal Engine 5. That was a big, announcement last year. That was the opening of Halo Studios. But apparently, according to this, at least 5 employees were laid off. Now, was it only 5 employees? Was it more than that? We don't really know. But as of last night, the number was 5 people. So if Halo Studios was only, hit with a layoff of 5 people, Halo Studios is a pretty large team. That one is not too egregious. I wouldn't worry about the future of Halo, really. Now, the next one... Oh, let me unclose that. There we go. So Ben Jones, who recently openly discussed his excitement for a project at ZeniMax Online, This is a big one for all of you Elder Scrolls Elder Scrolls Online, and so on and so forth. ZeniMax kind of is the basis of that. He laments at the loss of the most exciting and ambitious project he had worked on to date. Setting aside my own grief after today's tragic news and the loss of the most exciting project I've worked to date, my job and primary purpose is now to find the homes for spectacularly talented friends and colleagues that were let go from ZeniMax Online Studios this morning. I spent the last 7.5 years assembling this team. I have a deep understanding of their strengths and passion, and where those might line up with your needs. So he's being a good director here. He's trying to find jobs for his people that he was forced to let go, and it really does suck for him. But yeah. So this is a very, very good thing that he's trying to do this, but this was called a Project Blackbird. So he's talked about it publicly. This is according to Destin. Again, Destin is one of the GOATs. Lead quest designer is what he was looking for. It was going to be a AAA game. It was going to be an online game. It's been in development for 5 to 6 years, and as of 2022, this number could have changed, gone up or gone down. It was a 200-person team. Could be more or could be less now. And it was an all-new IP. Generally, these teams don't get smaller as time goes on, by the way. Usually they get larger. Unless it's going through some, like, crazy, like, hardships. And, like, you know, they're going through people like toilet paper. Game directors are leaving and stuff. Not the case with this team. But this is the thing. Okay, so, yeah, they were talking about lead content designer, lead narrative designer. They were really working on quest content, which is usually indicative of a situation where they've done kind of the meat and potatoes of their game, and now they're starting to work on quests. Now they're working on filling in the world. So it looks like this project was, like, decently far in. But, again, what did I say about long-term teams working for a game for a very, very long time and still not having a beta or an alpha and so on and so forth? 7.5 years, 5 to 6 years of development as of 2022, and you know, nothing to show for it. Obviously, it's not nothing to show for it, but there's a reason that these teams were hit. And it's just like, you know, if a game is going to be ready, but it doesn't look well enough, fast enough, that's when a company like Microsoft is more likely to axe you. But not always. And here is why. This one was very weird and very rough. Jason Schreier reported that Turn 10 has been impacted hard, nearly 50% of the staff. Now, what does that mean? Why Turn 10? Why am I bringing this up? Turn 10 makes the Forza games. And the Forza games are really high quality. Really high quality. So this is Jason Schreier's tweet. Well, he's on Blue Sky. I don't use Blue Sky. I think anyone who uses Blue Sky is kind of like, you know, shooting themselves in the foot. Regardless, this was you know, pulled from Blue Sky, and someone else was able to report on it. But these are the Forza games, guys. They have come out like literally, you know, one every few years. Last one was in 2023. 84, 92, 90, 79, 92, 91, 86, 87. These are high scores. They're pretty decently critically acclaimed. Now, Forza has Horizon and they have Motorsport. And when the Forza Horizon series started to gain traction, a big question was, man, this is a story of two pies. I get Forza Motorsport and I get Forza Horizon. This is great. This is not great, though, for Xbox. Because the most recent Forza Horizon did really well. Gained a lot of people and was considered, you know, Game of the year it came out. In some books. IGN, I think, is what he's saying right here. Very big star. However, Forza Motorsport, even though it's generally pretty highly rated, the most recent year, Forza Motorsport right here in October 2023 was not super highly rated, and it didn't really sell as high numbers. Now, when you have the star child, the good child, and you have the still decent child but less good child, which one are you going to give more milk to? It's the answer is obvious. You give it to Forza Horizon, not Forza Motorsport. So that's why Forza Horizon didn't really, you know, lose that many people, but Forza Motorsport kind of seems a little bit like, you know, the same amount of effort for less return. And it's a direct comparison for these two teams against each other, because it's basically the same fucking game. Not in reality, but in terms of, for a C-suite executive looking at this, this is what they're seeing. They're looking at this as, do we really need Forza Motorsport and Horizon? Or can we cut a corner somewhere? And this one really, really sucks, because the Forza series in general, whether it's Motorsport or Horizon, has a lot of fans. They sell pretty darn well generally. And even if Forza Motorsport from 2023 wasn't like, jaw-dropping and like, leg-breakingly good or anything like that, it was still an inherently positive game that did make profit. This is a problem with a lot of these game companies. They're not content with just making a profit. They need an exceptionally high profit. They need an exceptional profit with lower amounts of loss in terms of laying off people. They want to have smaller teams making the same product. That's the problem. That's the problem. And this is a little bit more information about Everwild, Rare's Everwild. So, yeah. Everwild was... here's a cinematic trailer. Let's see if there's any details. I'm just taking a quick look. Yeah, here it is. So, it was one of the games that was yet to come out. People were excited for it. And the game was something that was like a unique style of open world game. But the problem was that we had the announcement trailer all the way in 2019. And this is the cinematic trailer. I think this is from 2019 as well. So, oops. There we go. So let's put this down. But yeah, so, and we'll look at the trailer. As you can tell, it's cinematic. It looks very cute, very lovely, but there's no gameplay shown. Not really. And so, what are they going for here? Is it going to be like an art project, or is it going to be like a proper game? Is it going to be a game that we can like actually have like a lot of monetization with? And I think that was the problem with Everwild. Everwild didn't really seem like it was going to hit like a really strong niche. It's not going to hit like, COD Bros. It's not going to hit like Survival Bros. It seemed a little bit more artsy and so on and so forth, which for a normal game, that might be okay for a smaller team. But for a 200-person team, which Rare had in 2022, that's a pretty darn big team. And that's a lot of money being put in, and that might not have as high of an upend. Now, it's not all doom and gloom news. We'll cover that as well. According to Variety, every game from the Xbox Summer Games Showcase that we just watched, and I have it all the way back down. Here it is, PC Games Show, Xbox Showcase. Yeah, I was actually pretty hyped because, it's a pretty good Xbox Showcase. All of the games shown in the Xbox Showcase are quite relatively safe. So, that is something to keep in mind. So, if you had a game that you really liked at the showcase, Black Ops 7, or whatever. There was many different games shown. The Gears of War remake, so on and so forth. Bunches and bunches of games shown. I think it was like, 40, 50 games shown at the showcase. It was actually a very strong showcase. Don't worry too much about those games, but if it wasn't shown at the showcase, I'd start to worry. Now, what I want to know about, the game company that I want to know about, is the one making Undead Labs. Making State of Decay 3. State of Decay 1 and 2 are great games. I love them dearly, and they sold pretty darn well. State of Decay and Undead Labs was actually one of the first independent studios that Xbox really brought in its modern era, and they bought them, and they started working on them, and so on and so forth, to a pretty great effect with State of Decay 2. But what is going on with State of Decay 3? We saw a trailer last year. We very directly did not see a trailer this year, and I fully expected to see more detail, because State of Decay 3 seemed pretty far along in development. I follow Undead Labs. I look at their stuff. I look at their newsletters and everything, and according to them, everything is going pretty darn hunky-dory. But we didn't get a trailer at all this year at the Xbox Summer Games Showcase. So That is a little worrying for me for that team. Will we find out that Undead Labs had some, people leave as well, laid off? I think that might be relatively likely. But anyways, it's been a lot of doom and gloom. It's been a lot of discussion. I do apologize. It's a bit long-winded, but it was a pretty big set of news, and I wanted to get it up here for you guys. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Obviously, this is pretty shitty news, but I hope I gave some context. I think saying Xbox sucks and blah blah blah. It is true, but it's more complicated than that. It's not really fully Xbox's fault in a lot of ways. This is, kind of like the law handed down by Microsoft in general. And every department had to make these cuts. Also, the games cut, a lot of them, I hope I'm able to show you, that these were teams that had certain sets of issues that either held it back from monetization, or they were in development for way too long, or whatever. So this is a big thing. This is a big thing. Now, certainly not least, though, this was a big one. There is more detail about the Project Blackbird. It was an MMO. And these are made by the Elder Scrolls Online people. Elder Scrolls Online is a very successful project. They have made crazy amounts of money. That game has lived for a very, very long time. That game throws out at you event after event with, monetization after monetization, skin after skin, and people still buy them. And I think, weirdly, the success of Elder Scrolls Online kind of led to the demise of Project Blackbird. It's not dead. It's still working. Like, they're still there, but they're facing layoffs for that reason. And I would very much not say that they're dead. I think you could definitely hear about some, future for Project Blackbird going forward, as well as many of these projects. But the going will be slower, and the confidence will be lower, and the teams will be smaller, and the project itself will probably be either longer delayed or less quality. Again, another example of Xbox shooting itself in the foot, but something that is at least important to note. So, I will always give to you straight, guys. Good news, bad news, ugly news. I hope you guys liked it. I think it was a lot of very chunky information. And obviously very negative information, not fun stuff. But I think very important information nonetheless, Things that happen with Xbox do reverberate throughout the gaming world and the gaming landscape. Xbox is a giant company. Is definitely the big three: Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo. And the other companies are really just generally not even close. Even the other big boys like Capcom and stuff, they're still pretty big boys, but it's nothing compared to Xbox, Sony, and Nintendo. And so, things that happen to one do affect the things that happen to the other teams, as in Sony and Nintendo. So, will we see more layoffs across the gaming landscape? I think yes. And the reason is very, very simple. We have had, so top 10 games sold on Steam 2025. In the current top-selling games in 2025, we have had so many games that are either really old or very small indie games. Things like Peak. Things like Once Human, made by a small team. Granted, that was last year. Things like, can I do this by rank? Okay, it is already by rank. My bad. Things like Clear Obscure, Expedition 33, indie team of 30 people. Things like, Sons of the Forest, made by a relatively small team. Baldur's Gate 3, obviously that's a perennial, like that's just a very different situation. Schedule 1 is still up there, made by one guy. Gaming is in a good space. We've had many amazing games, but a lot of them this year, especially, have been indie games. They've been games by smaller teams. And this year at Summer Games Fest, Jeff Keighley very directly showed that as well. He had the top 10 games sold in 2025, and it was like 3 of them were, the larger style titles, and like 7 of them were the much smaller titles. It was the Schedule 1s of the world. It was the Repos of the world. Repo is brand new game, brand new indie game as well. And so on and so forth, as opposed to the big boys. And I think that is what these teams are seeing. Xbox, Nintendo, Sony, Capcom, Ubisoft, EA, they're seeing big successes happen from incredibly small teams. And they're going to try to reach for that and either create with a larger team a banger product that is just like, something that blows people out of the water in terms of money and monetization as well as quality, or they're going to try to make, very small games and very, very niche games like this. However, they're not indie teams. They don't have their ear to the ground. These developers, these developing teams for these large companies are not small and agile. As much as they like to use that as a phrase, Phil Spencer and so on and so forth, you can't be a Schedule 1 developer. You can't be a developer of, Expedition 33. And when you're working at Microsoft, at least you have a much less higher of a chance. The reason is very, very simple. A company like Sandfall Interactive making Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, or the company that made Repo, or the company that made Peak, and so on and so forth, these are very tight-knit companies. They don't lay off 3 people just to save, 1% of overhead. They don't do that. And as a result, those teams grow. They grow in skill. They get more tight-knit. They get more efficient. And I think that's something that these large game companies have forgotten. And I think that is a reason we keep seeing very high layoff numbers on all these large companies. And I think that's why we have lower quality from all those large companies as well. So, if you take nothing else, buy indie, fuck Sony, and fuck Xbox, and fuck Nintendo. They all kind of suck in all of these different ways. All these companies really do these kinds of layoffs and, shenanigans with monetization, incredibly high prices, especially in a rough economy, $80 games, $90 games, thank you fucking Nintendo, so on and so forth. The indie teams are the ones where the real innovation happens, the real agility happens, the real interesting products happen. That's my talk. Hope you guys liked it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you guys like the information, do give this video a like and give this channel a sub. I do try to give the real information even when it's more uncomfortable subjects like these layoffs, and I try to give you the reasons why. So let me know your thoughts, which game that was canceled out of the list that I said at least, or if there's one that I didn't mention that I didn't know about, do let me know. Because this list is not exhaustive. And depending on when you see this video, whether it's tomorrow or the day after or whatever, we might have way more companies added on this list. But I would love to hear your thoughts. Which one were you looking forward to the most that was canceled? Or which one do you think is the most understandable as well? Even though that's a hard and harsh term to use, but, some of these are like, yeah, I can kind of see the writing on the wall. And for Perfect Dark, that was a big one of them. But, it's rough because, like, since 2024, Xbox has had, like, crazy things happen. Everwild canceled. Initiative closed down, Perfect Dark. ZeniMax Online Studios, MMO canceled. Turn 10 gone, 50% of them for Forza. 10% of King gone. And Arcane Austin was shut down. That was just earlier this year. That was a big thing. Raven Software, which makes the Call of Duty campaigns. Alpha Dog Games. Tango Gameworks was nearly completely, gone, even though they made a great game with Hi-Fi Rush. They were thankfully saved by another game company, but that was due to huge backlash. But yeah, Blizzard's Odyssey game, that was canceled. Their survival game was canceled. A lot of Blizzard IPs were canceled. Roundhouse Studios was canceled. Closed down. There's been a lot of hits, boys. There have been a lot of hits. So, I just wanted to give it to you guys straight. Good, bad, and ugly. I will always tell you how it is and tell you what the possibilities are and, where to start worrying and where to not worry. But I hope you guys liked the discussion, even though it was not some great news. Thank you so much for hanging out, giving me your time, and hopefully the coming months will be better, but get ready for more layoffs. Frankly, I would say that with the rise of AI, especially, they're going to try to replace more people with AI rather than less, even though it'll lead to a worse product. They don't care. All they care about is, remember guys, line going up. I hate it. You hate it, but that's the reality. And buy indie. Buy indie. Indie companies don't do this fucking dog shit. There you go. Much love. Catch you guys in the next video.